Hello, and welcome to the Contractpreneurship series, a podcast that delves into the world of contracting and provide insights to commercial and legal professionals on how to unlock value from contracts. Contractpreneurship is a concept I introduced to describe a particular approach and mindset in relation to contracts. It brings together the concept of an entrepreneur, a transformer, reimagining how things are done within the world of contracts. I'm Peggy Pauwels, and today you're listening to episode 4. We're going to take a much closer look into what we are doing at Deloitte. We are building a community of contract experts and contracting expertise to unlock value for our customers. Welcome to a new episode of Contractpreneurship. Delighted that I'm joined today by my fellow contractpreneur, Craig Conti. We unite around our passion for contracts and are part of the same practice within Deloitte. It was inevitable that we end up on this podcast together. Craig, welcome. Fantastic to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been watching these and listening to these for a while. You have great guests, and I must say I'm incredibly jealous. I'm usually just on the side of the road in an airport somewhere, by a Shoney's or something, but you actually have like a whole set here. So you're doing it right. So thank you for letting me in.
Thank you, Craig. I'm not sure if I'm doing it right. It's just another perspective on contracts, right? That's what we're both about.
Yeah, but you have a table.
We have a table and we have tea and coffee. So probably the majority of our audience doesn't need an introduction to who Craig Conti is. But for those that don't know you, just give us a short overview of what you do at Deloitte, who you are, and then we'll do a bit of a trip down memory lane to understand how you got here as well. But give us a bit of an overview of who you are.
I am Craig Conti. I'm a partner in Deloitte Legal here, and I'm co-leading really our contracts offering here across EMEA in terms of what we do. Now, we'll get more into what that contracts offering is, but it's an end-to-end version of this isn't your grandfather's contracts. This is really the cutting-edge way of how we look at things differently, mixing different resources, different skill sets together, working with great people such as yourself, how we can help our clients.
Oh, thank you. Always the flatterer. I know that you're a lawyer by background. You used to work in New York City, but somehow you ended up as a consultant at Deloitte. So take us back to the start of your career and what were some of the pivotal moments that made you take the decisions that got you here today?
Well, growing up as a young boy in New Jersey, I always thought about contracts first. But seriously, as you can tell, I'm a lawyer by training and American when you hear me talk. And I practiced law in New York City at a fun time. It was in the 19-somethings. It's .com boom. And really, being a lawyer in New York City, particularly a junior lawyer, you bill a lot of hours. You work on lots of things. You negotiate quite a bit. And eventually you start to see things almost like the Matrix. You look at the contracts. You don't even really see the contracts anymore. You can almost see the negotiations going back and forth. I used to joke with people that I could almost write down what the position was going to be back to me before they would do it. And that made me start always thinking that there has to be a better way. There has to be a better way than this. If I can see this, others must see it too. We must have to try to do things differently. So I moved, eventually from being, a lawyer at law firms to then working in-house at Capgemini, first, running their BPO service line as a lawyer, but then making the jump when I saw, very complicated contracts that we had. BPO contracts at the time were 7-10 years, long and, had something like, 1,000, 3,000 obligations potentially on us. I asked around saying, look, we have great delivery. We have great people. We know how to deliver all this stuff, but who's really looking at all this stuff? And the CFO said, that's a good question. Why don't you go see? And that led to really then flying around the world, building out a shared service capability that we had, for legal and commercial, in India, Poland, Guatemala, Brazil. We have 50,000 contracts coming in a year. How can we manage all this? How can we do all this? And like all good providers, eventually, after being a lawyer and building out that capability, we moved on to the idea of saying, well, look, our clients have these same problems. So if they have maybe 20,000 vendors, and who's actually watching all those vendor contracts? They have high volume. How can we do this? So then led us to then say, look, we figured this out for ourselves. How can we figure this out for our clients? And long story short, eventually a lawyer becomes a builder, who becomes a business owner, becomes a salesman, becomes a guy at Deloitte.
Fantastic. And such powerful experiences because you've seen it pre-contract signature, that process, sales process, or procurement process, or acquisition, large transactions. And you've seen the power of contract management and the importance of it post-contract signature. And there's no such thing that trumps, to my mind, lived experiences. You've been in the trenches, you've seen what it takes, but also I think that is what drives your passion, I believe, in terms of why contracts are so important. Am I overstating it?
No. I joke with someone. I probably say the word contract more than anyone I know. Even my kids know I know about contract management. In all seriousness, though, I think contracts really are that thing that connects organizations. And I'll say it. I'll do the hits. Contracts are touched by everyone, but owned by no one in organizations. There's studies out there. I know the World Commerce and Contracting has done this as well, saying that 40% of the people in an organization, touch a contract. That's a lot. Taking out the people who work in the cafeteria, that's a lot of people, touching contracts, on a daily basis. And, that really does affect it. And you have things like, legal, that has, the gatekeeper to it. Procurement's good at buying things. Sales has to sell things, and the business does whatever the business does. But because of that, you have a very fractured way of looking at contracts, because there is no contract czar, sadly, that's looking over all of this. When a lawyer gets into problems, they see a problem with contracts, they go and hire a law firm, right? Procurement may go get, like a CLM, a contract lifecycle management technology, or some consultants to help them out there. Maybe sales or the business will try to outsource pieces of this. So all they're doing is just recreating the same fractured nature that they have. And all those things are fine, activities, but it's still, you're recreating the broken. I say this is, as sort of the analogy is that, you would never go to one store, to buy a set of handlebars, another store to buy a chain, another store to buy some wheels. You just go buy a bike. But for some reason in contracts, we accept this, oddity of how we purchase things.
Yeah. And we touched on it in previous episodes of Contractpreneurship, that quite often it's because the value and the importance and the role that a contract plays within an organization is not truly understood, because every department that you highlighted looks at the contract from their particular lens. So looking the gap and what is driving that fragmentation is the lack of end-to-end oversight. Correct? Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. You see, crazy things in organizations, right? You have a legal department, a commercial department, a risk department, all looking at contracts. And I always test them. If someone can explain to me show me three different things that are, what's a legal issue, a risk issue, and a commercial issue. They're all blended together, but there's just so different lenses on there. I think that odd behavior, that's siloing something that should be uniting, that really is. Think about how important contracts are. Most companies don't really make things. They sell things. They have relationships, and that's all kept in that business document of the contract. So to look at it from just one angle is you're missing the whole business enterprise aspect of it.
Absolutely. And you miss the outcomes and the value of the relationship that a contract is trying to document, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of it, right? And all the effort that goes into it. It's such a shame.
Yeah, and yet still to this day, there are people who believe that, wait, the best contract is the one we sign and never look at ever again.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
We beg to differ.
Yes.
Yeah. I agree. The contracts are the lifeblood of an organization. They are so crucial. And in any type of organization, because it is the way we transact and the way we document our relationships, our intent around the relationship and the outcomes that we want to achieve. So, okay, we've established contracts are important. Contracts need to be looked at end to end, because otherwise that drives that fragmentation. So you and I are here, and as I said earlier, we weirdly are united about this passion around contracts. Tell us a bit more about what we're doing when we talk about contracts at Deloitte. What are we building?
We both like Bruges too. There's other things we talk about. But yes.
That's true. For another podcast.
Yeah, no, I have a whole bunch of things on doilies. But yes, so what are we doing here at Contracts? So what we're trying to do, just very succinctly, is rather recreating that fragmentation. We hear the great thing about Deloitte is that we're a law firm too. but we have great technologists. We also have, great services that we can do, at scale, and process driven. By rather than, keeping those as, separate things out there, let's actually look at those and combine the great people who can negotiate contracts, work on the disputes or the workouts on contracts or distress projects, the people who can tech enable, or transform a process, as well as those, sort of that muscle and that scale to do the high volume. And bring that all together and focus on the problems. And I joke about this. I've been a consultant, I've been managed services, I've been many things in my life. I've yet to call me up, or email me and say, Craig, get over here. We need a quick assessment. We need immediate LMC type work on this. No, they're typically saying that what we have is we have too many contracts. They're too complicated. I can't find the money in them, right? Or the law has changed. Or something has happened. That's the real problem. So let's focus in on what the actual problem is that something's happening and then bring the skills into it.
Yeah. And again, from a business perspective, that sounds so logical, right? You start from the business problem and then you think about how you can devise the right solution. And yet in our own journey here at Deloitte, we've got all these fantastic expertise and experiences. And only now we are bringing that together to really design the right solution for the client for this particular problem, which is quite fascinating, isn't it? We're transforming ourselves.
No, exactly. So there's things where, it's like going to a restaurant. We're still going to be, selling the things that, make sense. So, hey, I really want a burger, right? Or I want a steak, or I want a nice bowl of soup. We'll do that, right? We'll sell it. But there's other things where you say, look, this is a unique problem. So rather than just taking something off the shelf, let's mix the ingredients. I need a little bit of lawyers here. I need a bit of, offshoring resource here. I need a bit of technology there to get to the right answer. That's really the thing. I think sometimes, a lot of companies, it's no one's fault. We just say, this is what I have. This is what I'm going to sell. But let's break down the ingredients. I worked for a partner a long time ago who said, a menu is just a list of ingredients. Let's use that.
Yeah, fantastic. And I would put the challenge on our clients as well, that quite often when they are faced with a business solution, they themselves go figure out what the right approach is. And then when they feel that they need external support, they go in for a particular point solution. This is my solution, this is my problem, and I think I need X from you, Y from another party. And my conversations with a client, I want to challenge them as much as we're challenging ourselves to say, let's join in the conversation, because your point solution is one way to solve it. But if we look at your business problem more holistically, maybe there's a different way when you then think about how to bring in different skills, different experiences, without any of the labels, but actually, what do we need to deliver the service?
Oh, yeah, we get this problem all the time. You see it too. Like people say, oh, I desperately need a CLM, right? I desperately need one. They've probably seen some webinar or watched some guy's vlog in an airport, and they believe that that's what they need. Nothing against CLM. It's a fantastic technology and you should use it. But then you actually ask them, you peel back and say, well, okay, you want a CLM, but why? Well, I want to, have document management. I want to be able to track workflows, and, I want to be able to keep all my templates in one place. Okay, great. What tools do you have? Well, I have a document repository type tool that's very popular. I also have an ERP type tool. I also have a Salesforce type tool as well. Well, you have all the answers already there. Why do you think you need something else? You're just not using it correctly. Yeah. It's like my kids used to always say, well, look, I want apple juice. I want apple juice. I want apple juice. I want apple juice. I go, well, I don't have that. What's really going on? Well, I'm thirsty. Well, here's some water. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's the actual problem you're trying to solve. Yeah.
Do contracts better. That we need to change the narrative with our clients as well and engage in a different way with our clients.
Absolutely. I mean, I see the same thing. We have to go deeper and wider about this, because I think then people just get so caught up in, like I said, that fragmentation. I need a law firm to do this, right? Or I need consultants to do that. Really? Is that really what you need? Or let's go a little bit, I think what we can do better is saying, well, let's go into the underlying problem. Let's actually see what's actually causing all this. Which is better? The doctor that can, tell you have a broken leg, or tell you how to fix the broken leg?
Yeah.
Which do you want?
So changing the dialogue with the client, changing the way we look at the problem, not immediately jump to solutioning. And I think particularly when it comes to contracts, it's so important to keep line of sight of that enterprise-wide relevance and the role that a contract plays. Because again, there might be a problem identified at a given point across the contract lifecycle, but perhaps the underlying problem sits somewhere else, much deeper or wider into the organization. So always do that checks and balances, I think, in terms of, hang on a minute, are we truly getting to the right root cause of the issues, irrespective of the division or the function that has reached out to us?
No, I think, and you do this yourself, like, with clients all the time. I see, like, people get excited by, they think faster automatically is better, right? But actually, if you're analyzing risk, faster may not actually be the outcome that you want to do that. Or faster, let's get rid of, I want NDAs faster. Well, what actually would that even accomplish? Which are the contracts that actually have money tied to them that actually generate your business? And you do that very well with our customers.
Well, I always challenge our clients to say, what is this business essential or business critical? Because a lot of contracts need to be done, again, because they are, they document the essential translation, but not all contracts are business critical, are not, if something happens there or we don't contract, there's red flags in the sales organization or, So just understanding, again, what the role is of the contracts, I think is really grounding in a conversation with, with our clients.
You heard it here. Not all contracts are equal.
Not all contracts are equal, indeed. What is going to be different then for our customers? Because it's, you and I get this and we're passionate about it. But if I sat listening here to our podcasts and I go, so what? What will be different for our clients when we bring all of this together and we engage with our clients in the way you and I envisage to engage with them?
Well, I think, what we really see is, like, it's an enterprise, not just an enterprise in terms of the width of what we can do. End to end is fantastic, and having integrated solutions is great. But also enterprise in terms of the vision and the questions. It's that kind of depth of saying, like, we have lots of people on our team. I know you started when you were 10 years old, but you've been doing this for a very long time as well. So lots of experience in terms of doing contracts, making things better, et cetera, like that. So I think bringing that experience, and also, look, we have, we just won some awards on things. We have, great commercial negotiators. We have award-winning CLM people. We're going to bring the best in class all together in, one thing, and not just try to sell you, oh, you want to buy a watch, right? No. What's the actual problem you have? And then we can, no matter what it is, we know we can solve it. And even beyond just what we do in Deloitte Legal, because, we're Deloitte. We have everything else like there. If you want if it's a cyber problem, is it a data security problem? We can go broader than I think the others can. I think that's exciting. That
is exciting. But is it fair to say that our clients also need to expect that we will challenge them when they come to us? To your example of, I need a CLM tool, or I need my NDAs to go faster. We will not just go, yes, of course, and here's one I prepared earlier, right?
No. Who would want to do that? That's quite boring. But no, seriously, I think that's I think the value of the conversation, right? It's a difference between getting, fast food and going to a top-line restaurant. If you just want to get food real quick, right, you know exactly what you want. Go there, great, lots of options, have fun. Right? But if you actually want to get, like, the meal, the experience, and everything else that, comes with all the value of that, then come here.
Yeah. And, but at the same time, I think we need to make sure that not just how we engage with our clients, but also the solutions that we devise are implementable, right? I remember being at client side and being pitched to by consultants, and fantastic PowerPoints, of course, and they were selling me the vision of how I could transform the legal department. And I was left sitting there thinking, I have no idea how I'm going to do this, because you haven't told me, you haven't really given me insight. And actually, I'm not sure this is the answer to the problem that I have. So that has really stuck with me for the rest of my career. And now being at Deloitte, it's something that is really holding me. It's almost like my North Star. Let's make sure that what we offer what we offer as a solution is implementable, is pragmatic. Would you agree with that?
No, absolutely. I mean, I think we're not giving up on PowerPoint, though.
No,
we have
that's the red line.
You've gone too far. But I think it's not just, obviously, and your CV, how many companies internally have you transformed this thing? So I think it's the living of it, it's the breathing of it. And, we have a fabulous team, multiple countries, multiple experiences, transforming from within. So I think we have, a team of doers and also doners. They've done it.
Yeah.
I think that resonates particularly with people when they're having their real problems. It's great. Do you want the architect who could design you the building, right? To actually, or do you want the architect who's actually built one too, who's also been a general contractor and knows how the plumbing works? That's the combination that I think we can do here. There's lots of people who could design beautiful things, but it's actually knowing what happens when the roof starts to leak and how you fix that.
Yeah, fantastic. And I love that. And I have to say that's why I'm delighted to be here. And actually, sort of the reason for doing the podcast as well is to share those lived experiences because they're so valuable. It cuts out any of the BS, and it really gets straight down to, feet on the ground. This is how it needs to be done. And this is what you need to be thinking about. Fabulous. Well, Craig, I mean, you always have fantastic analogies. That is impressive. And every day there's a new one, either with an analogy or just generally. What would be to our listeners who are thinking, okay, fantastic, that sounds reasonable. But what advice would you give to customers? And this is not about them having to come to us, but when they are looking at contracts, what advice would you give to them?
Ma Conti always say, never go shopping hungry. Never go into the store just like saying, no one goes to a restaurant and says, just give me food. Understand what it is you're actually trying to accomplish. Do you want, is it Italian food? Is it Indian food? Is it this? Is that? What is it that you actually want? Contracting end-to-end is a wide area. Is your issue, I want to close contracts faster because it's a sales issue and I want money in the door? Is it a risk issue, a reputational thing on the back end that I want to monitor? Do I need to have certain expertise in a certain type of contracting? That's my real, bugaboo that I need to fix here. Do I want my contracts simpler to read? Those are all within contracts, but they're all different solutions and things. So really, I say before you do anything, whoever you work with, you just work with yourself, right? Challenge yourself as to what the actual problem is you're trying to solve. And if you do that, you're going to be on the path to success 9 times out of 10.
Fantastic. Craig, it was an honor and so much fun to have you on today's podcast. Thank you so much for your time and for your valuable insights.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you for the free coffee. This is great.
Thank you. So this was another episode of Contractpreneurship. If any of this resonates, you want to join into the conversation, please reach out. We want to hear from you. I'm Peggy Pauwels, partner at Deloitte Legal. Until next time.